Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron here. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me yet again. I have a special treat for you guys. I've been sharing some Scientology videos from political performance artist Alex Stein, Primetime 99, Pimp on a Blimp himself. I might not be able to say that word this soon in a video. But anyhow, I told you guys that if I had the opportunity, I was going to ask Alex Stein, how did he get to start using Scientology in his performance artist bits? I mean, you guys might have seen Alex goes in front of city council meetings and he puts on performances, usually making a political point of one kind or another, or pointing out the absurdity of various political issues that are happening in society. And I think Alex does get a reputation for being on the right, but he really is a libertarian. He's kind of down the center. He ridicules the left. He ridicules the right. And you guys know partisan politics almost always plays no part in this channel. And I promise you, we don't talk about politics. We talk about Scientology. Check out this fantastic conversation I had today with Primetime 99 Alex Stein. Primetime Alex Stein 99. How's it going, man?
Wow, Aaron, I have to say I'm a new fan. I really appreciate your opinion, and I think your viewpoint is very interesting. And I think for me, the reason why, I guess, how do I say this? You play a lot of my clips and you're probably like, why does Alex always bring up Scientology? Well, I have a very soft spot in my heart because when I saw Going Clear, that movie changed my life for a lot of people. Like I was watching a video where you're talking about how Mike Rowe, who was friends with, what's the girl, Marnie, or what's the girl that was John Travolta? Spanky, yeah, Spanky. And how, you know, he knew her personally and how she was John Travolta's kind of handler with Scientology. My point is when you see that Going Clear, it is really, it's shocking because this is why I've become so dialed into Scientology that I can actually see the good things in Scientology, how there's no prescription medication, like L. Ron Hubbard being against the kind of pharmaceutical industrial complex. Really, I'm similar to that. I believe in that today. I really don't like the way our medical industry is. And people say that I'm alt-right or whatever. I really think we should have some form of socialized medicine. I don't think medicine should be $200 for insulin in Dallas, but $7 in Mexico. I just think that there should be some sort of caps or some sort of way where the government could help out the citizens with our healthcare system. But I'm saying L. Ron Hubbard, I vibed with that. So there's some stuff too. And then if you really think about like the idea of psychotherapy and talking about stuff that actually happened to you and getting through that, I think that's, you know, in that essence, not being on drugs, I think that that is good. But it's the excommunication of families. It's the, you know, getting people's credit cards, you know, being very predatory, you know, it's a very predatory thing. But the fact is, I guess with all that, my point being said, we have so much to say back and forth. I don't know if they really should lose their tax exempt status. I almost think they should have it. What do you think about that, Aaron? What is that? Does that sound crazy? I mean, that's kind of my libertarian mindset. Even though I know Scientology is not good. I know Xenu, all about it. But like, I almost still think Scientology should exist. What do you think about that, Aaron? Is that insane?
Well, it depends. I mean, I could make the argument. I could get on board with the argument that no religious institutions should have tax exempt status.
Exactly. I could get with that. Yeah, I could see that. That's more libertarian. I mean, I don't know, dude. Do you think this is the thing with Scientology too? I think it's dying, dude. If you actually look at the heat that had, it's not gonna last, dude. David Miscavige. I mean, it's not. They don't have new people, so it's just. But they do have a lot of real estate holdings, which it's like, well, what are they gonna do? I mean, they'll have to sell those one day because they have so much cat hair. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. I feel like Scientology should have the right to exist. But then you hear these stories about how people had to run away, and David's, you know, his own dad, Ron Miscavige, you know, all that. But what the heck, dude? So, Aaron, what's your story? Well, why are you so down there? Are you an ex-Scientologist? Because I don't really even know your story. And did you have, I don't even know, did you have one of these type of escapes, as they say, you know, like, or where you had to leave? No. So tell me your story.
We don't have that much time, do we?
But just give me the cliff notes. I mean, I don't want to. I feel like I got you mad or something. Is it mad because you want me to be more mean? Okay, no.
Do I look mad?
No. I feel like I want to trash Scientology more because L. Ron Hubbard is a scumbag. He's like an alcoholic, a drug addict. But I'm just saying, like the Thetans, I think that's crazy. It's all crazy. But it's like everybody's searching for something spiritual. What is it? It's like spiritual satisfaction is so hard. It's so hard to reach that.
Well, just to touch on something that you said earlier on, if there was nothing good about Scientology, nobody would ever join. Like, I'm
Exactly,
always
yeah.
very, very fair about that. Like, Scientology is net bad, but
Okay.
nobody thinks they're joining a cult. The lower levels of
Yeah.
Scientology are particularly applicable to life, useful, self-helpy, somewhat Tony Robbins-ish. There's a lot of people that get sucked into things like that, like Landmark and stuff like that. Landmark's actually kind of a ripoff of Scientology. And there's
So
a lot of
that's
people
what
out
they
there,
call a squirrel. Is that what they call
squirrel
a squirrel?
group, a squirrel
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I watched it all of it. So that's a squirrel group. And so
Yeah.
is that like free Scientology basically? Because that's the fact is, why does it cost so much money?
Landmark's not free. Landmark's
it's not free. So
No.
wow, so that's the Scientology offshoot. Do they also use cans? Do they use the
Nobody else uses the e-meter.
the e-meter? Excuse me, e-meter. So
But let me
nobody
answer your
uses
question.
the
So I was born and raised in Scientology. I actually started working for them I started working for them full time at the age of 12 years old. So
in the Sea Org. Shut up.
I joined the Sea Org later, but yeah, 12 years old, I was at Flag, where you came to. I was on the Sea Org base for 3 years, studying, and then I went back to Philly, where I worked for Scientology in Philly. Then I went out to LA, where my wife was in the Sea Org for 14 years. I was on staff and in the Sea Org for half of my life by the time I left. Like, Alex, I did not go to school. I left school in the seventh. I left school in the 7th grade. I was working for Scientology from then until I was, 26 years old. And then I was in Scientology until I was 34.
And once again, I'm not standing for Scientology, but Aaron, you're very smart for not going to school. You're very well spoken. So at least you learned how to talk and be sociable. I mean, they did teach you how to be that. So, but tell me this, so Aaron, what's the deal? Is like, why do they make you go back to the past Thetans? I feel like, is that so they have embarrassing things that you said? Isn't that just a blackmail gimmick?
That really is what they believe. I mean, they believe that we are immortal spiritual beings, and that actually nothing that happens to you in this lifetime is particularly aberrative or harmful, because anything that happens to you in this lifetime is only harmful to you mentally and spiritually, because it's re-stimulating something that happened to you billions and trillions of years ago. So,
but Aaron, the girl just killed herself. That was an OT8. Did you see that? That was a real estate. So that's what she really thought. She's like, well, F this body, I'm going to reincarnate anyway. Is that really how dialed in to see that? That's so sad.
Scientologists don't, because they believe that we're all just 76 trillion years old. These bodies are just temporary. If there is something wrong with the Scientologist's body that will prevent them from getting Scientology auditing, they do truly believe what's wrong with just dropping the body and going to pick up a new one and growing up in Scientology. I swear that is literally how they think. That's literally how they think.
But that's at an early OT level. You think like that, or
no. You think like that even from the bottom of the bridge.
Oh wow! Really? See, I didn't realize that. I didn't know it was like that. Like that early on. I thought there was kind of like a veneer of like you said, more self-help before it gets that deep. But for me too, it's like you look at L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, they revere him as this saint that was able to go to space and was at the Van Allen radiation belts. I mean, obviously, the most insane guy in the entire world. He was an alcoholic and drug addict, right? I mean, he was on pills and stuff.
He wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't an alcoholic and a drug addict.
Maybe that was what's that movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman? Maybe he drank in that movie. That was a great movie. Everybody needs to go see that movie. I bet Scientology doesn't like that movie.
So, Alex, I'm not a spiritual or religious person, really. Yeah. So, people go, "Oh, you criticize Scientology. Why don't you criticize the other groups?" And I go, "Because I didn't fucking grow up in the other groups. They got their own form of members."
Wait, what age did you sign into the Sea Org? What age did you sign your billion-year contract?
I first signed when I was 13.
Shut up! That should be illegal. And do they even give you the 25 cents an hour that you worked? Anything? Did they even give you a bank account somewhere that
it was
had
less?
Aaron
it was
Smith
less than that. It was less than 25 cents an hour.
Did they ever even deposit it somewhere? Like, did you ever even get it to go buy a candy bar or something?
They give it to you in cash.
And so what, did you have a piggy bank on the boat? Did you go on the boat? Did you run a celebrity or the free
I was never on the boat.
Never. So you're Sea Org, but never on the boat. Wow.
So they're only, the Sea Org members worldwide, if maybe, let's say there's 5,000 Sea Org members worldwide, there's only like 150 of them on the boat.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I saw you sing. I have beef with that girl, Michelle Fiore. I'm about to file a lawsuit because she unlawfully removed me. And then I saw some clip I was watching. She's dialed into Scientology. What the heck?
Yes.
Well, I mean, dude, I'm about to sue her. What? We have so much connections, dude. That's why, okay, but tell me about Michelle Fiore.
You got to figure out how to keep going down the Scientology angle with her, because she's already a part of your life, but now Scientology is a part of her life.
Yeah, so now I have to go back there and talk, but I'm about to, like I said, I mean, it's not that I want to be so litigious, but they shut me down with like 20 seconds left to go, and I'm suing Clay Jenkins, a Dallas County judge, because what happened was he was arrested for a panty raid in college, which wasn't the biggest deal, but the D magazine wrote about it, and I handed out all the magazines to the commissioners, and I started reading it, and another commissioner kicked me out, and how it works is the judge is the only one that can kick me out without a vote, so it's unlawfully removed. They already want to settle, so now it's like I have this attorney that's willing to take it on contention. So it's like Michelle Fiore, she just shouldn't have removed me. She should have let me finish my last 20 seconds. But she really didn't like the science. She didn't like me. She looked me up. I really triggered her. But I now knowing that the connection to Scientology, and for me, it's so funny. And I think there's another video where I did like a fake campaign thing. And at the end of it, they said, "What are your campaign goals? I need to send you that." And I said, "Oh, wow. Scientology." But
so, Alex, for you, it really all started with going clear?
Oh, for sure. Well, no, I mean, I graduated college in 2010 and I moved to Los Angeles, and I lived on Yucca right next to the Celebrity Center, and I would meet people. I met people that like went and did roles because they would say that because a lot of people get excommunicated, they wouldn't like to use them for the videos, like for the in-house videos. So they would hire actors like, Alex, you should audition. You could get those roles. You know, because I'm new. I just never did. I could have gone to the auditions. The Celebrity Center was right there. And I was like, oh, maybe, you know, they're like, oh, they'll get it because, you know, they were, you know, like I said, and I met a couple Scientologists, and a couple of them, like, because I did extra work. I was like on The Office. I didn't have a job. So I went to Central Casting and, you know, took my picture, and I was 18 to look younger, even though I was over 18. So I could work the crazy hours. I could play like a high school kid because I looked even younger back then.
Alex, I got into the Screen Actors Guild by doing extra work through Central Casting.
Yes, I say it's so much fun. Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. A lot of Scientologists would do it, and they were pretty cool. Some of them were kind of weird, but no, most of them were pretty cool. Honestly, like really, they were pretty sociable, like you, because you kind of have to be, because I guess you're just around people all the time, so you kind of, I guess, learn how to talk to people.
It's true. I mean, some people excel in it, in the environment, and thrive, and some people don't. And obviously, you know, it's a high pressure situation. But I saw a video where you actually came to Clearwater and you were messing with the security guards outside of the flag
and I have
landing.
another video I need to post where I was kind of messing with them a little bit, and they just scurried away. But they don't really interact. They don't engage, and it's like, and really, you know, I don't want to be like, you loser. I really like to be the butt of my own jokes. If you can tell, I really don't like to actually bully people necessarily, unless they're like, you know, so like politician or somebody big or something I can quote unquote bully. But you know, it's like because they're in Scientology, like you said, you were born into it. Some of these people are probably born into it. They might not have a choice. So I'm not going to be like,
I mean, Alex, at this point, almost every Sea Org member is someone who was born into it.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the only people left from it.
Because there's not a lot of people joining Scientology. It is
the internet killed it. There's no way, because it wasn't the whole tenet of it, I believe, in the 80s and 90s. It's like, don't go on the internet. And so at its peak, dude, you had magazines, you know, and the newspaper was the quote unquote where people got their information. They didn't have Twitter. They didn't have Google. So, you know, all the stuff about Xenu, now you type in, what is it, like, who is Xenu or something? I mean, you can just all of a sudden you're like, a guy with DC-8 planes is dropping bombs in volcanoes and Thetans, and, you know, so it's easy to kind of be like, this doesn't make sense. And then, dude, you hear the horror stories, and I don't know how prevalent this is, and I don't know why they do this if they have so many real estate holdings, where they'll get people to like get their credit cards. They'll apply for credit cards in their name. They have a whole division, like a bank almost, that does that.
Their whole fundraising team from like 2014 to 2019 was actually trained in Los Angeles on how to do these fraudulent credit card practices. Because, Alex, all the money flows uphill. None of it comes back down. So the money that flows uphill, well, Scientology will use that money to buy properties here and there. But the fundraisers out there in the world, they all have to, you know, they're all grinding. They've all got to get their own statistics up every single week. So they're scratching for everything they can, and they resort to the credit card fraud.
But can you get fired in Scientology, or is it you just get into that punishment thing?
You don't get fired in Scientology unless you do something to piss off Tom Cruise or David Miscavige, or to put the tax exempt status at risk.
Okay.
Like, honestly, you could abuse children these days and it doesn't get you kicked out of Scientology. They're so desperate for members.
Wow. I mean, I know they're probably so desperate. Like, you know, I just feel like it's just so dead. But were you in it when it was super popular? Because I don't know, but I mean, like, were you like,
it was never super popular. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I'm 42, so I was born in 1980.
But you were there with the songs. Were you in the background of any of those songs? Or what is it? What's that one song? That's the most famous song.
We Stand Tall. The We Stand Tall song.
We Stand Tall. That song, dude. That's the best song. That's the #1 song of all time. L. Ron Hubbard would have loved that song. He would have saluted that song. No, We Stand Tall. But you were in the We Stand Tall days. So do you know David Miscavige? Did you interact with David?
So I've never personally interacted him on like a face-to-face level. More like him talking to a group of us level. But that's why you got your Mark Headleys and your Mike Rinders, and I just interviewed another guy today who you'll be seeing for the first time. But anyway, I just wanted to have I don't know, we probably only have a few minutes left, but I've been watching your stuff for years. I mean, you got to be one of the greatest performance artists I've ever seen. I seriously. No,
you're too nice.
By the way, once 50 Cent, your Las Vegas thing has gone just insanely viral the last 2 weeks. And that's not even a new clip, is it? It's not even new, is it?
It's old. And I'm going to London to do some activism, and I got some new stuff. I got a new show on The Blaze coming out, and I definitely want to have you on my show because I really like I said, I wanted to say this before we go. For me, like Scientology was my first kind of conspiracy, and now I'm real deep. I mean, like anti-government, anti-establishment, tinfoil hat, moon landing, nut job conspiracy.
Let me ask you another question. Do you only troll leftist politicians, or do you troll righty guys as well?
Look up Dan Crenshaw. Oh my gosh, me and Dan Crenshaw hate each other. I went after Ted Cruz. No, I go after people on both sides. And really, I'm more in the middle. Like I said, people think I'm all right. But look up me going after Ted Cruz, look me after going after Dan Crenshaw. Because listen, all these politicians, idolizing a politician is like thinking the stripper actually likes you. The stripper doesn't like you. The politicians don't like you. Scientology doesn't like you. Okay, before we go though, where's Shelly Miscavige?
Shelly Miscavige is. I've been talking about this on my channel.
I know. That's what I'm saying. What's the latest update though? They try to give a fake thing.
The most recent time Shelly has been confirmed to have been seen and spoken to was 3 years ago in 2019. So as of 3 years ago, we know she's doing fine. We'll have to get more updated information. But hey, do you know there's one other person who, if he could figure out how to fit Scientology into his act, the world would be a better place, and that's Cassidy.
Cassidy Campbell, yes. I'll tell him to start doing that. Yes,
I've seen you do some stuff with him. Yeah. I can help coach him on how to do Scientology stuff if he wants me to do that. I would love it.
For sure. And Cassidy's my good buddy. We got to get back to filming. It's just because he has this baby. Him and I used to film so much right when his first baby was born. But now that it's a little older, his wife's just kind of like, it's just kind of annoying. But him and I are about to really come out with some more content. But listen, we got to, and that's the other thing is like we got to make fun of Scientology. I didn't want to come here and be like, oh, I love Scientology. It's so good. I would recommend everybody get out of Scientology. It's very predatory. I'm just saying I can see why, like you were in it for a while. I can see why Mike Rinder got high up, and I just can't imagine letting David Miscavige ever hit me. You know what I mean? Could you imagine that? I mean,
hey, did you see my David Miscavige doll?
No, let me see it. Oh, that's a little Keebler elf. Yeah. How tall is he? So him and Tom Cruise are the same height.
David Miscavige is like 5 or 6 inches shorter than Tom Cruise. And anyone who's met Tom Cruise will tell you that they're startled at how short Tom Cruise is. So, yeah, maybe that's why Tom stays in. He finally has a buddy that can look up to him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, Tom Cruise, though, he did look really good in that clip with Matt Lauer or whatever where he went viral, where he's like, yeah, SSRIs aren't great. See, I'm anti-SSRIs. I don't like serotonin reuptake inhibitors. I think.
Well, so here's the thing. I still definitely have an anti-SSRI bias from my time in Scientology. And I just kind of set it to the side going, you're going to get propaganda on all sides. I think it's propaganda that many of these kids should be on these things. And it's propaganda that nobody should ever be on.
Too many kids are, I know. I mean, I don't know, but too many kids are. They give you an SSRI. And this is not me standing for Scientology. This is anti-SSRI. You just go to your general practitioner. They'll just give you that. Like it's nothing. You just say, oh, I kind of am a little depressed. They give you an SSRI, but they'll give you Prozac like that, dude. They give it a little too easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear what you're saying. In Tom Cruise's case, though, I kind of go, it's a bit of a disingenuous argument because even though that you might agree with that point and he might believe, his real position is nobody should ever see a psychologist, nobody should ever see a therapist, nobody should ever see any mental health.
But isn't Scientology psychiatry? I mean, isn't the Thetan psychiatry? What do they call it?
They call it spiritual counseling. And yet, when someone's actually having a mental breakdown, there's nothing they can do but lock them in a room. Like literally, it's why Scientologists end up taking their own lives when they have these mental breakdowns, because there's nothing Scientology can do. I mean, Hubbard's guidance is literally isolate them, give them food, give them rest. I mean, it's just basically solitary confinement. It's like, that's your solution for mental illness. Like, it's insane. It's crazy.
Wow, I hate that. Yeah, I get it. I get it. That, yeah, you know, give somebody a Xanax or something. I mean, whatever, you know, let somebody, I guess, cool off. But
yeah,
I
hey,
get
Alex,
it.
will I ever be able to get you to come to a Clearwater City Council meeting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the next one I need to go to. And one, I have a good buddy that is out there, and I was just there. So that's the one. So is David in bed with the council there? Is that the gimmick there too? Because
he's got, I can fill you in a bit. I can fill you in a bit, like behind the scenes.
All right. Well, I got to come back on because I want to stay updated, because really I want you to introduce me to because you know all the top dogs, Leah, Rinder, and then who else is the, did somebody else go back to Scientology? Like, real quick, last thing, who was it? Who was the guy that was in the documentary?
Marty Rathbun. You're probably talking about Marty.
And Marty's back because Marty was original Squirrel Buster, right? Squirrel Busters went to his house.
That guy's working for Miscavige again.
No, he's not. No, he's not. What? Miscavige took Marty Rathbun. Wait, okay, so I heard that, and that wait. So Marty Rathbun, who went and he was like suing them, who was like in Galveston or whatever.
His wife was suing them. Yeah.
Did his wife drop the lawsuit? Obviously.
Yep, fired the lawyers, dropped the lawsuit, disconnected from everybody, and now Marty does videos shitting on me, shitting on Mike, shitting on Leah, Louis Theroux, Alex Gibney. He's literally working for Miscavige. We gotta go
troll Marty. We gotta go troll Marty. So where does Marty live? Is he in Clearwater?
No, he's still in Texas.
Oh, is he in Galveston area? I gotta go find Marty. I gotta talk to Marty. I wouldn't be rude to him. I gotta talk. I mean, dude, what are you talking? You go back? How do you leave? Because but technically, from what I saw, the impression I got, which documentary was that? That's not going clear where they're at his house.
He did the one with Louis Theroux, My Scientology Story.
that one's great. That's a great one. But what I'm saying is he was a squirrel because he was practicing.
Yeah, he was a squirrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not officially back in Scientology. He's just back working for Miscavige, doing his dirty work for him. So he's really, it's a despicable situation.
So he says that he's not. He says that he's not a Scientologist.
He doesn't even say that. He just does videos. He does highly produced videos by Scientology that he posts just to shit on everyone who's
on his YouTube. On what platform?
Yeah, on his YouTube and on his blog, moving up a little bit higher. I'll send you the links. Maybe you want to do something. Send me the link.
Does he have a lot? How many subs does he have on his YouTube roughly?
Oh, not many. He almost never puts out videos, but for years now, even ever since the first episode of Leah Remini, Scientology in the Aftermath aired, Marty was already doing videos debunking everybody who appeared on the show. He did a video about me personally.
Really? Oh yeah. So you were on the show, Aaron. I saw your episode.
In the first season of the show.
Yeah, of course. I saw your episode. I just couldn't remember. I mean, I've seen you, but I couldn't remember your exact story. But you weren't the one who left on the motorcycle. That was a Chris. Who was the guy that left?
That was Mark Headley. That was
Mark Headley. Yes, Mark Headley. His story. I liked his story. I like Mark. He's funny. Yeah. I mean, because I'd love to get on a roundtable with him. You know, I mean, I'd love to. Just anytime. I think I have a show, like I said, coming out. I just would really always like to pick your brain because it is so interesting, and I think the stories. Like, okay, last thing before you go, did you have it in the middle of the night escape, or how did you finally leave? Did you have your girlfriend?
My story was completely different, and it involved my family being destroyed, my wife's family being destroyed.
No, was your wife's family a Scientologist family?
Oh yeah, she's lost her brothers, her sisters, her mother, her father, her nieces, and nephews.
So you and your wife got excommunicated. You guys left together.
Yeah. So first my mom got kicked out for talking smack about David Miscavige. Then I got kicked out because I wouldn't disconnect
from my mom. Because you want to go with your mom. Duh, wouldn't you want to go with your mom?
But I lied about it for a couple of years. I pretended like I was disconnected, but I wasn't really. And then my friends were spying on me and were turning me into the church. And so then eventually they're like, this guy's just going to keep lying to us about his mom, isn't he? And
they were writing reports. They were writing reports like, no, Aaron's going visiting his mom.
My Scientologist nanny was talking to my children to see if they were seeing their grandmother and sending reports to Scientology. Which they were, and we never told them, hey, you're not allowed to tell anybody.
And
so then they're like, this guy's just going to keep lying to us, right? And they're like, yeah, get him out of here. So then they go to my wife and they go, well, you have to divorce your husband or you're going to be declared. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. So they go, okay, you're out of here. So then they go to her parents and they say, you've got to disconnect from your daughter and your 3 granddaughters or you're going to be declared. So at that point, her parents have to decide which children and grandchildren are we going to keep. And that's where Scientology, you want to ask me, should Scientology be tax exempt? That's where I go.
Yeah,
That's
no.
where I go.
That is
I'm not gonna
terrible.
shut up.
Yeah, I see.
I'm not going to shut up until they lose their tax exemption. You know?
Yeah, I get it. Okay. Well, then they shouldn't be. See, now I'm here from you, and that's why that's why I'm very insensitive and I'm not knowledgeable on the tax exempt thing. I'm just saying all these churches, they're all. I didn't realize like they all kind of closed for COVID and stuff. They're all kind of owned by the government. Is my point. Did Scientology take a lot of government money?
They did take millions of dollars in government in COVID.
I'm sure.
In COVID money.
I'm sure they did. I imagine they did. Yeah, they're. Yeah, David Miscavige is on top of that. Okay. Well, dude, like I said, man, I hate to. Sorry that I was insensitive. You know, hope they do lose their taxes. And that's the other thing too is, dude, I'm kind of nervous to even go and troll them only because the content. It's funny to you, Aaron, and it's funny to a lot of people that are dialed in. But that is a niche audience, which I actually don't mind appealing to a niche audience. Kind of sometimes I like that. But at the same time, they are litigious. You know, they're
not. Alex, here's what people don't understand. Scientology has not sued anyone in over 25 years.
Oh, really? Really? So
people don't realize this.
They give okay, well that's good to know too for the other people because they give the impression that they're so litigious or whatever. Because dude, how they got their they got their IRSing. They filed like 2,800 personally IRS employees they sued or something.
That's right. So they haven't sued anyone in 25 years. They tried to sue Debbie Cook. That lasted for about 5 days, and they gave her millions of dollars to please go away and stop talking about David Miscavige. So don't worry about lawsuits. Don't worry about lawsuits.
Okay, well that makes me feel bad. See, this is why I got to talk to you, Aaron. So we got to be friends. We got to do this again. I know. You know, you got to go get the kids and do all that. And once again, dude, I bet it was very dangerous when. So you lost. Are you still excommunicated from your entire family?
My wife's
your mom.
Family.
That's what I'm saying. So you still hang out with your mom, but you don't. You cannot. Her wife. What about her sisters?
Nope, her whole family gone. And they live. They live within 2 or 3 miles of us. We haven't spoken to them in years. They haven't. Yeah. I can tell you so much more of the story, but
gosh, I hate that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they're hard. It's a horrible, destructive organization. But you know, that's why
I'll keep making fun of them for you.
Alex.
I know. I'll keep trolling them for you, Aaron. We'll team up. We'll come up with ideas, and you tell me opportunity. Because this is the thing this is the last thing I'll say, and say this is the Scientology out there because I know your bitch asses are watching. Aaron, I need to go to an event where they're out in the open, like at a ribbon cutting or something. You know what I mean? That's where, you know, because, you know, at the organization, there's so many doors, they just all get in or they're on a bus. They're kind of like sheltered. They are walking around, but even if you kind of tease them, they just put their head down. I need to be like a party or something. They kind of don't know who I am. I kind of need to catch them, quote unquote, out in the public, I think. But do they do events like that very often anymore? Because I know they're dying, you know, with their
when they open a new building, they do these ribbon cutting ceremonies. That's a really good opportunity. And this could be a gold mine for Cassidy. Again, I know you say it's niche, but it's like you saw the Golden Globes. They're making jokes about Shelly Miscavige at the freaking Golden Globes.
Yeah, that's true, dude. It is so Hollywood. I mean, it's so everybody in Hollywood is very familiar with what Scientology is, and I mean, it's not that I'm not saying that it's not that niche, but it's like it's hard to get over kind of what Scientology is to somebody, to the layman or whatever. I don't know. They think it's like a religion about science. You know what I mean? A lot of people everybody knows what L. Ron Hubbard is. Everybody heard of Scientology, but not everybody necessarily knows about Xenu. You think everybody knows about? You know what I mean? Not everybody. They all should know about Xenu, but I would say. There's not that many now. You're like, okay, let me tell you about this guy Xenu. He's a galactic overlord, and he flew these DC-8s. And
when you were driving around Clearwater, the base, and you were asking Sea Org members, where can I find out about Xenu? I was just cracking up.
Do they all know? Even at the earlier OTs, they know about Xenu. They had to Google it, right? Or
only OT3 and above. OT3 and above.
So you go into that room.
If you're a lower level member and you hear about Xenu on like South Park and you ask, is this true? You are told, no, that is not true.
And then you get in there, you go to a locked room and there's a book and it's a special book and you read it and they're like, what did you learn from it? And what do you have to say? You have to be like, Xenu's badass. I mean, what do you have to say? What is the...
I never did the OT levels when I was in Scientology. I learned about all that shit after I left.
Oh, so what level did you leave at?
No, I was a staff member my whole time in Scientology. I never did hardly any of the bridge at all.
Oh, so you were in the Sea Org, but why not? They didn't make the Sea Org members do the bridge. The bridge isn't. So you don't have to do the courses.
You can do the training courses, but not the auditing. So the Scientology devotes its resources to the people who are paying money. and then people help those guys get up the bridge. My job in Scientology was mostly to train Scientology auditors, but the lower level auditors for the bottom half of the bridge, the non-confidential part. You don't learn about Xenu until the upper confidential part of the bridge.
Yeah, the OT levels.
The OT levels. OT3 specifically. So when you were on Tim Pool, the language that you used about Scientology was literally almost perfect. It was absolutely hilarious.
No, I was accurate with the themes. I was okay with that. I love Leah Remini.
It's Thetan.
Thetan. No,
like Satan with a lisp. Satan with a lisp.
And I mean, he was best friends with Aleister Crowley, and he was like a sex maniac. I mean,
yeah, you have to say Aleister Crowley. You'll have a lot of street cred if you say Crowley. Actually, he never met Crowley. He was friends with Jack Parsons, who was a student of Crowley's, but Hubbard actually never met Crowley. And anyway, it's all sorts of fascinating stuff. But
you don't learn that in Scientology, do you? You don't learn that.
Hubbard actually talks about it with a lot of pride about his relationship with Parsons and Crowley, except he says that the government sent him in to help infiltrate these groups. That's what Hubbard says.
No, so he's a Fed. So he was a Fed. He was an informant. Is that really kind of what he brags about?
Agent, an undercover agent.
No, what a bitch ass. He's such a tattletale. His whole thing is tattletaling.
No, so but that's not true though. Like that's a story he made up. This government didn't actually send him in. That's just the story that he tells.
Okay. Well, see, you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised. In his military stuff, he said he lost his eyesight because he was looking at the sun over the water or whatever. And his hip, what did he say? He broke his hip, but he was never even the captain of a boat, or he
said a million different things. He's such a liar.
Well,
thank you so much for coming on. Let's do more stuff. Let's anything I can do to help and educate on the Scientology side. The better you use the language, the funnier it is. Again, I know most people don't know, but it's so like if a Scientologist sees your stuff and you're using the language correctly, it actually has an impact on them. I promise you.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but using humor is kind of the only way to break somebody free. It's kind of, somebody's kind of like, oh, it's like you have to mock these things because they're all, pretty. Scientology is pretty goofy. And I think people, if you're out there and you're watching this, I respect your right of as a libertarian to have whatever religion you want, but I just think you really need to kind of reevaluate the church and a lot of their practices with people like you, Aaron, and other people being excommunicated from their family when life is short. I think the family is all we have. So, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Peace. Awesome. Thanks, Alex.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.